all these wires were soldered, and then heat shrink was put on them for the newer wire route. So that's pretty much it for up in there. You can use crimp connectors if you want, but I don't really depend on them too much, and I don't want to have to go back and redo this stuff again. So, okay, we'll put this up and we'll move on. Here's mine. Come with some of this foam sticky crap on the back here. If you want, you can put that on these wire bundles up here. Just kind of wrap it around the wires. It's no big deal. Okay, everything just kind of snaps up in there, and that's it. It's in. Probably see right along here, along here. It's probably about a 1/4 inch gap right along here. That was pretty much unavoidable. Those short consoles are wider down here, obviously, so you want to try to save some material when you cut out this part down here. Save some of that material, but you can come back here and kind of fill that in. I'll use some spray glue. I guess that'll be the next video. But anyhow, there's a system. Go ahead and start it up. So as you can see, everything works. One thing that's not working yet is the temperature gauge, and that's only because I haven't put the temperature sensor in. So that's the next thing. But we've got buttons now for everything, although we don't have power windows, or excuse me, we don't have power doors. Don't have power quarter windows yet, and don't have this parking assist stuff. But maybe that's in the future. Here's the wires going to the ambient air temperature sensor. And here's that split loom stuff. And basically that sensor is going to be mounted right there. And eventually this cable will end up going underneath here and back behind that little opening right there. So what you want to do, obviously, is get your wire cut and ready so that you can get it mounted on here. I cut mine about even with the loom, just so that it'll go up inside the sensor a little farther. Anyhow, what you're going to need to do this stuff, make it easy on yourself. Phillips head screwdriver. These are rivets from Dorman, 961050. These will make things a little easier if you don't have a bunch of nuts and bolts, or even if you do. These things are actually threaded, so once you put it in there, of course it'll expand and hold everything in, but when you want to get it out, you don't have to have an upholstery tool or something. You just have a Phillips head screwdriver, thread it back out, and that'll allow this thing to collapse, and you can just pull the pin back out. Of course you're going to need the sensor. This is a BWDWT3091 tie strap. Now, most important part, of course, If you remember earlier, we took these out of that connector because they weren't being used. This is the green wire with the black trace on it. And that's the sensor wire, and then the black wire for the ground. So if you remember to cut these off and leave a little pigtail on there, that's going to come in handy, because what we're going to end up doing is soldering those pigtails onto this wire here. Of course, the other thing you're going to need is some wire strippers come in handy, soldering gun. Of course, if you're using crimps, you don't have to go through this. So the next thing is going to do will be to, we're going to cut some heat shrink. We're going to put heat shrink on each of these wires, just so that when we get these soldered on there, we can run that heat shrink up just about to the end of these things and pretty much seal this thing off. The way this thing mounts is like this, with the opening facing the bottom, so just if some water did happen to get up in there, it'll just drain back out, so it should be no big deal. Okay, so next is to solder the wires. Okay, you get ready to solder these wires right here. Cut about 2-inch piece of 3/16 heat shrink. Put it on each one of these wires. It's easier to do this before you solder these things on. Okay, if everything holds still, we'll get this done. Just going to make sure you tin your lead, your tip a little bit. Put some solder on there. Okay, that should do it for the solder part. Alright, so to run your heat shrink up a little bit. And you want to get it over this little rubber grommet thing here. Just slide it up there a little bit. I'm going to leave a little bit hanging out there. Should do it. Okay. Just heat this thing up and shrink. There you go. That's one of them. Okay. There you go. Doesn't get any better than that. So the next thing will be to mount the sensor and connect these wires. That's going to be the next step. Okay. Now all you need to do is just get your sensor. It doesn't matter which wire goes on which terminal. These terminals are flat, they're not round, so you got to make sure you get the connector in the right orientation. Other than that, it's just a matter of pushing it in there. Okay, There you go, they're in. Okay. Feed the wire back into the oil cover. Usually the best way to do this is bend these things at about a 90-degree angle. Wire pops back in there. Okay, I'll sit with that. And get your little push pin connector. You see that through there. Oh, there's this little cover thing right here. It's kind of a cardboard or something, but you can kind of pull it out a little bit. See that wire down through there? Keep that opening. And it's just a matter of lining this thing up. Hopefully the pin will push in there. It did. And that's it. That's it. That puppy's in there. Okay. That's all there is to that. Just now to check it to make sure it works. And then as a kind of side note, let's see here, about this connector. Connector that we made, you can buy those connectors, but they run around $30. So if you want to save a few bucks, just save those two little connectors that we took out before. For that four-way connector over here. So just a little tip, save some bucks.
On the KGB.
Finished putting in the ambient air temperature sensor. Everything's working good.